Be'ezrat Hashem, we begin today another set of laws, Hilchos, Chametz, Umatzah. The laws of Chametz and Matzah. After we finish the general halachot about what not to do on the holiday, now we go into a bunch of sets of halachot about what to do on each specific holiday. And because in the Torah, Pesach comes before Tishrei, the calendar is set up that Nisan is the first month, HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem, Rosh Chodashim, the month of Nisan is the first month. So the Rambam begins with the laws of Nisan, which is Pesach. Chametz and Matzah. It's like in Chassidut it explains, Sur Meirava Asei Tov. There's two types of service of God. Getting away from the bad, taking away the Chametz, and doing good, eating the Matzah. So the Rambam starts, like he always does, with a list of the mitzvot that we're going to explain. Yesh bichlalan shmeina mitzvos. There are 8 mitzvahs going to be discussed, actually in 8 chapters. There's 8 prakim also in these set of halachot. Shalosh mitzvahs aseh, v'chamish mitzvahs lois aseh. 3 positive commandments and 5 negative commandments. V'zehu praton, and they are the following. Aleph, shaloi lechol chametz b'yom arba asar mechatzos hayom u'lamayla. Special mitzvah, not to eat chametz on the 14th day of Nisan, already from midday. People think the mitzvah is to only eat on Pesach, but we burn the chametz even before because you're not allowed to eat biblically chametz already on the 14th day. It's interesting that we finished off yesterday the last set of halachot with the laws of Erev Pesach, and we continue into Erev Pesach. Bet lahashbis sa'ir b'yom arba asar, to destroy, also like you said, to burn the leavened bread or any leavening agents on the 14th day of Nisan. Then we have a mitzvah gimel shaloi lechol chametz kol shiva, not to eat chametz all 7 days of Pesach. Or today in the diaspora it's 8 days. Dalid shaloi lechol ta'aruves chametz kol shiva, not even to eat a mixture of chametz. And we'll see today what that means. It means chametz got mixed into another food. Hey, shaloi yirah chametz kol shiva, vav shaloi yimatzeh chametz kol shiva. Chametz shall not be seen in our property, and chametz cannot be found in our property. It's really 2 ways of saying pretty much the same thing, although there are some differences. One is like you can't even see it. Let's say somebody else put chametz into my property, so it's seen. You can see it. Found means even if it's buried in the ground, but if you can find it and it's in your property, it's still forbidden. The point is, not only you can't eat chametz, you also can't own chametz. Zayin lechol matzah b'leili Pesach, to eat matzah, a special type of bread, on the night of Pesach. And ches l'saper b'yitzias Mitzrayim ba'isei alayla, to tell the story of the exodus of Egypt on that night, as we do what we call the Seder. Ubir mitzvahs elu b'prakim elu, the explanation of these 8 mitzvahs is coming in the following 8 chapters. So for the next week or so, we're going to be learning about Chametz and Matzah. It says that Rambam Perek Rishon in chapter 1, halacha aleph. Kol ha'oichel kazayis chametz b'Pesach. Anybody who eats an olive size of chametz on Pesach, mitchilas leil chamisha asar ad soif yom echad ve'esrim b'Nisan, from the beginning of the night of the 15th of Nisan to the end of the 21st day of Nisan, or in diaspora, 1 more day, b'mezid, if he eats chametz on purpose, chayav kares, he gets excision, his soul gets cut off, dies prematurely, and also doesn't get to the olam haba. Shenemar, as it says, ki kol oichel chametz v'nichrisa, anybody who eats chametz gets cut off. The Rambam is going to define it later, but chametz is any food that rose but was created out of these 5 grains. The 5 grains Torah recognizes: chita or chitin is wheat, seorin is barley, kusmin is spelt, shibolet shual is oats, and shifon is rye. That's the only 5 grains that can become chametz. If you mix any of those with water and it rises the dough, today we know it as 18 minutes, it becomes chametz. So if you eat an olive size of chametz, an olive size isn't like today an olive size, it's an olive size, it's a Torah amount. Many say it's about half of an egg size. So they say over here between 25.6 and 36 grams. Different opinions. So if you eat it on purpose, then you get chametz. That's what it says over here in this verse. Ki kol ochel chametz v'nichrita hanefesh ha'im Yisrael. The soul gets cut off. If you eat any of the 7 days chametz, you get cut off purposely. B'shoigeg, if you do it inadvertently, you didn't know it was chametz, or you didn't know it was forbidden to eat it on Pesach, chayav karban chatas kvua. You have to bring the fixed, the standard sin offering. Standard means because there are kvua, because there are other types of karban chatat, which is olev v'yored. It goes up and down based on how much you can afford. Either you bring an animal or a bird or flour. In this case, it's kvua. The offering which you bring is fixed. No matter how much you can afford, you always bring the same animal. Echad ha'oichel, ve'echad ha'memacha v'shoisa. The truth is, whether you actually eat the chametz or you convert it into a liquid, you melt it down and you make it into a drink, it's still forbidden. Beis not only you can't eat chametz, chametz b'Pesach asur b'hanoya. It's also forbidden to derive benefit from chametz. You can't sell it, you can't repurpose it. Shademar, as it says, lo ye'achel chametz. If you look in this verse over here, this is, we say it every day if you put on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin. It's the portion of Kadesh Li Kol Bechor. And over there it says, at the bottom of the verse, v'lo ye'achel chametz. Now in Hebrew, the way to say don't eat is lo tochal, or lo yochal chametz, not to eat. What does it mean, ye'achel? It means it cannot be eaten. So the sages translate that, lo yehei boi heter achila. You're not allowed to do anything that can bring you to eat it. So for example, if you sell your chametz, now you make money. With that money, you can buy other food. That's ye'achel chametz. The chametz is being eaten through the money. So you can't have any benefit from your chametz. Even if you leave chametz in your possession on Pesach, even if you don't eat it, you are transgressing two negative commandments. And one verse it says, Lo yirah sa'or b'chol givulecha. Oops, I highlighted the wrong part. The bottom line is supposed to be highlighted. No leavening agents, leavened bread, shall be seen on all your property. V'nemar, and it also says, Sa'or lo yimatzeh. It's over here. Bivatechem. You cannot have anything found in your houses. So just sitting in your home, you transgress two negative commandments. The prohibition of chametz is the product, the leavened product, and sa'or shabay machmitzin, it's like the yeast, or the leavening agent that you make chametz with. It's one and the same prohibition. So even though the Torah uses different language, sa'or, chametz, it's all the same thing. So we now have three prohibitions: no eating chametz, no benefiting from chametz, no owning. Can't even be on your property. It says that you only get lashes on account of owning chametz, having it in your property, unless you actually bought chametz from a store on Pesach and left it in your property, or you created it. You made chametz dough on Pesach. So you're actually doing an action. But if you simply had chametz in your cabinet, some cereal, before Pesach, and Pesach comes in, you didn't destroy it, you simply left it in your possession, even though you also transgressed two commandments, we can't give you lashes. Because you didn't do any action. In Torah, you only get lashes if you did an action. Here, you did no action. You just didn't burn it. You left it in your property. So we can't give you lashes unless you go and buy it from the store or you make a dough, then you did an action. We're not going to say makas mardos, but the rabbis can give you rabbinic lashes. We can't give you biblical, but rabbinic lashes we can give you. The Alter Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch that it's only talking about a case where you bought it from a goy. Because if you bought chametz from another Jew, Jews don't have authority over their chametz. Once Pesach comes in, a Jew doesn't even own his chametz. Torah declares it hefker, ownerless. So you would have to buy it from a non-Jew. Dalid, chametz she'avar alav Pesach. If there was chametz that Pesach passed over it, in other words, it was owned by a Jew over Pesach. Asur b'hanoya le'olam. It's forbidden to derive benefit from it forever. According to the Rambam, v'davar zeh knas hu midivrei soifrim. It's only a fine rabbinically. It's not. It's not.
Destroy it. You can't even sell it.
Yes. You sell it is one of the ways you can get rid of it. You're allowed to sell it. But if you didn't sell it,
but you enjoy the money.
Huh?
You enjoy the
But
money.
yeah, but you're not. But you sold it before Pesach came in. On Pesach, you can't have hanaya. But if you sell it before, then it's no problem. So, but let's say you didn't sell it. So you have a Jewish store. Happens all the time. Jewish-owned store. He didn't sell his chametz before Pesach. Big problems after Pesach. You can't use most of his stuff till he gets a new shipment. It's the whole thing. But according to the Rambam, it's only rabbinic. Because he transgressed on the prohibition of owning chametz. And the sages went so far, and they forbade this chametz even if you left it in your home inadvertently, or you were forced. Somebody came in and forced you to hold chametz for him. Why did the sages forbid it even if it was inadvertent or forced? Because we're worried about tricksters. A person is going to purposely leave his chametz in his possession over Pesach, and is going to make a pretense that he just, was by mistake, and then he'll be able to have benefit from it after Pesach. So the sages said, you know what? No, if chametz was in your property over Pesach, you're done. You can't use it ever. Hey, chametz shenis'arev b'davar acher teicha Pesach. If you have chametz, and it gets mixed into something else during Pesach, bein b'minoi, bein shalei b'minoi, whether it got mixed into something of its own type, so flour got mixed into other, permitted flour, or not of its own type. forbidden flour fell into a pile of apples. Hareza oyser b'kol shehu. It makes the entire mixture prohibited, even if it was the smallest amount of chametz that fell inside. So you have a crumb of bread, falls into a massive pile of matzah, the whole pile is forbidden. The commentaries explain that Rambam says later also in the 5th book that it's because it's davar sheyesh lo matirin, something which is going to become permitted. After Pesach, chametz is going to be permitted. So when something is going to anyways become permitted, now when it's prohibited, we say anything it touches becomes totally prohibited. Because why should I be lenient? In 8 days it's going to be permitted. So now it's totally forbidden.
So the 160th doesn't apply.
1/60th, doesn't apply. Typically things become batel, things become cancelled, 1 in 60. On Pesach it doesn't apply. The chametz shel Yisrael she'avar alav Pesach, if it was Jewish-owned chametz that went through Pesach, afal pishu asur b'hanoya, even though it's forbidden to derive benefit from it, imnis arev, if that chametz after Pesach gets mixed, bein b'minay, bein shalei b'minay, whether into something else of its own type or something not of its own type, hareza mutar la'achle achara Pesach. Then it's permitted to eat that chametz after Pesach. Shalei konsuva asur ala b'chametz atzmai. The sages only find the person and forbade when you have the chametz itself that went through Pesach. But if that chametz got mixed into other things, it's allowed to be eaten after Pesach. Some commentators go so far as to say that even if the chametz got mixed into something during Pesach, after Pesach it's permitted, because the sages only find the chametz itself, not a mixture. Vav ein chayavin kareis ela al achilas atzmei shel chametz. On Pesach, you're only liable to excision if you eat the actual chametz. Aval eruv chametz. But if you eat a mixture of chametz, kutach habavli, like the Babylonian kutach. I have no idea why anybody would make such a mixture, but it was made out of sour milk, moldy bread, and salt. This was like a fancy sauce you would dip your bread in during the year. And it had chametz, moldy bread is in there. But it's mixed in. Okay, don't ask me why anybody eats this, but this is what it was. This was called a delicacy, kutach habavli. The sheikhar hamadi, median beer, a type of beer that also had barley chametz inside of it. Anything similar, anything which the chametz got mixed into it, if you ate it on Pesach, you get lashes, but you don't get excision. Shenemar, as it says, kol machmetzes lo yisoichelu. You see, it doesn't say chametz. Machmetzes means like a mixture of chametz. So you also can't eat it, but it doesn't say v'nichrita. It doesn't say you get cut off. It just says don't eat it. So therefore, you don't get karet. Commentaries explain it doesn't mean that you have live chametz that then got mixed into something else. Because if live chametz got mixed into something else, then that whole thing becomes like chametz during Pesach. It's not considered eruv. It's not considered a mixture. Here we're talking about where the whole product of chametz itself only became in the kutach. So maybe it was like moldy flour, not really moldy bread, let's say. Moldy flour, and it became chametz as you created the mixture. So then, you're not liable to karet, only to malkut. Pamedvarim Amorim, says the Rambam, when do we say you're going to get lashes? If you ate this mixture, right? The mixture is not all chametz. It's partially chametz, partially not. So if you know that in the time it takes to eat 3 eggs worth, it's about anywhere between 2 and 8 minutes. There's a lot of varying opinions about how long this time is. But if during the time period of eating 3 eggs, let's just call it 4 minutes, okay? It's for simplicity's sake. If in the space of 4 minutes you consumed an olive size of chametz, so let's say you have a mixture, you have a big plate. In here you know there's a kazayat of chametz mixed in. Not the whole thing is chametz, but there's an olive size if you get it all together. So if you eat the whole thing in 4 minutes, then you've consumed the kazayat of chametz in 4 minutes, so you get lashes. That's where you get malkut, lashes biblically. But if there isn't enough chametz there, that even if you would eat in 4 minutes the whole mixture, you wouldn't have eaten a kazayat, an olive size of chametz, even though it's forbidden to eat it, because you can't even eat minimum amounts, less than minimum amounts. If you ate it, you don't get lashes. You get rabbinic lashes, not biblical, because you never ate a kazayat of chametz. Zayin, that's all for mixtures of chametz. But if you have actual live chametz, actual piece of bread, even eating the slightest amount, that's forbidden biblically. As it says, lo ye'achel. That verse I showed you before, it cannot be eaten, even the smallest amount. But nevertheless, Rambam repeats, you're only going to be liable to excision or a sacrifice, a chatat, ella al kashir shu kazayas, only if you eat the specified measure, the minimum amount, which is a kazayat, an olive size. If you eat purposely less than a kazayat, less than an olive size, we can only give you rabbinic lashes, not biblical lashes. It says that till now we talked about eating chametz on Pesach. But the truth is, asur lechol chametz b'yemar ba'asar mechatzeis hayom u'lamayla. Even on the 14th of Nisan, Erev Pesach, it's forbidden to eat chametz after half day, after midday. Shu mitchilas shah shvius bayem, the beginning of the 7th hour. Right? The Torah, we don't have 60-minute hours. We just take all the daylight time from sunrise to sunset, and you divide it into 12 parts, and every part is an hour. So the beginning of the 7th hour means literally halfway through the day. 6/12. No, let's call it 12 o'clock, because if sunrise is at 6 and sunset is at 6, so 12 is midday. But it's about, not really, it could be 12:30 or whatever, because it's the midpoint between sunrise and sunset. From then on the 14th, you already can eat chametz. And if you eat during that time chametz, you get lashes biblically. Shenemar, as it says, lo yiseichal olav chametz. Look what it says over here. This is a verse about the Korban Pesach. And you bring the Pesach sacrifice. When do you bring the Pesach sacrifice? On Erev Pesach. And the Torah says, don't eat on it chametz. What does it mean, don't eat on it chametz? It says the Rambam, Koloimar, al Korban Pesach. It means during the time that you bring the sacrifice. From tradition, we learn the explanation of this word is as follows. Lo yiseichal chametz misha asher re'uya l'shchitas haPesach. Don't eat chametz from the moment that you're able to slaughter the Korban Pesach, which is halfway through the day. No, because midday on the 14th. Chatzot hayom, b'arba'a asar, that's when you can begin to bring the Korban Pesach. That's when you also begin not to eat chametz. Shu bein arba'im v'hu chatzi hayom. Afternoon, i.e. half day. Now,
give you the exact times. I mean, it's like the second third of the first half of the day.
Oh, so hold on. So now, that's biblically. Biblically, it's only half day. Now, we know today, you look in the calendar, you really can't eat chametz already in the morning, about 10:30. So where did that come from? So the Rambam says like this. The sages backed it up an hour. He said, instead of midday, go back 1 hour from the beginning of the 6th hour, so you don't even touch a biblical prohibition. The sages always made fences. They go even stricter. Already from the beginning of the 6th hour, rabbinically, you can't eat the chametz, you can't derive benefit from the chametz, all rabbinical. And the rest of the day, from the 7th hour and on after midday, forbidden even biblically. Now, even an hour before that, the 5th hour, we don't even eat chametz even there. The sages made a decree because of a cloudy day. Today we have atomic clocks. We know what time it is. But in the olden times, they relied on the sun. So if it's a cloudy day, you don't know where the sun is. You can lose track of midday. So the sages said, go back even 1 hour before. Stop eating chametz already after the 4th hour. 4 hours into the day, 1/3 into the day, you stop eating chametz. Because you might make a mistake within the 5th hour, the 6th hour. But during that 5th hour, it's not forbidden to have benefit. You just can't eat it, but you can still feed it to your animals, let's say. You can still sell it, which is what we do actually. We stop eating chametz at about 10:30, but then we sell the chametz, and then only an hour later we begin to burn the chametz. Lefichach, therefore, says the Rambam, during this 5th hour, toilin ba truma v'lechem toida v'chayetze behen mechametz shehu kodesh. Any chametz which is holy, for example, truma, grain given to a kohen, or toda, the offering of bread that you bring as a Thanksgiving offering. Loy oichlin v'loy surfin. We don't eat it, but we don't burn it till the 6th hour comes, because you never burn chametz that's holy. In general, you don't burn holy things if you don't have to. So you wait till the maximum time, to the 6th hour, the surfin akol, and then you burn everything. And that's what we do today. We also burn all of our chametz at the 6th hour. Hala madata, says the Rambam, it comes out, you have the following result. Here's what you learn. On the 14th day, you can eat chametz till the end of the 4th hour. During the next hour, the 5th hour, no eating, but yes, benefit. In the 6th hour, no eating or benefit. If you eat there, the rabbis give you lashes. And from the 7th hour, it's biblically forbidden, so you get biblical lashes for eating chametz during that time.